Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a reunion reimagined. We are delighted to be here with you tonight. We wish you were coming on campus tomorrow night, but as we all know, with everything going on, we're doing things a little bit differently. And last night we had a great webinar talking and being with Dave Karate and some of his former athletes. And tonight we have an opportunity, as you see, to speak with and talk about Ned and Maria Reade. And over the weekend, also on Friday, we have Headmaster Taylor will be doing a State of the School, as well as on Sunday, there will be a alumni memorial service available to all of you. So please head to our website, and Reunion Reimagined is right on the alumni page, and that will guide you through the rest of what we're doing this weekend. But it's my privilege to be able to be here, to be in the presence of these two wonderful people who were a huge part of my 4 years at Trinity-Pawling, plus the many years after that followed as a assistant coach and just friend in many different ways. As many of you know, Ned Reade has been a practicing artist and dedicated teacher for over 50 years, 45 of which serving the Trinity-Pawling community. And of course, former French and English teacher and Dean of Faculty, currently Senior Writer for the Department of Communications, Maria Reade has been serving Trinity-Pawling School since 1986. Ned retired from teaching this past spring, but will be staying through 2021 as an artist in residence. We're here to toast this beloved couple and hear about what they will be doing today, tomorrow, and in the future. So with the Zoom, as you all know, we're going to be able to do some Q&A at the end. Ned, Maria, Headmaster Taylor will go from here and have a great conversation about Trinity-Pawling from years past into the future. But remember, the Q&A button, please use that, and then we'll get to some questions towards the end of the evening. But without further ado, Headmaster Taylor.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to have you here this evening and for the weekend for this reimagined reunion. And part of what we're imagining is doing this for real next year. So we appreciate your forbearance as we work through our various virtual opportunities. Tonight's a wonderful opportunity, wonderful time to spend with you all and really celebrate the outstanding work and contributions of these two wonderful artists, Ned and Maria Reade. And I'm going to give you a brief sort of overview of beginning with Ned, sort of what his highlights here, and then I'll do the same with Maria a bit later. But just to give you a visual image of one of the first times I met Ned and Maria socially, Mrs. Taylor, Jennifer, and I were living in the barracks, and they were coming over for dinner. And this is an image I just want everyone to have for the next 40 or so minutes that we're sharing this time together. But Ned, I'm going to get the name wrong, but you arrived in is it a sari or a traditional Hindu Indian garb, a long flowing robe that, of course, I didn't quite know what to make of it at the time, but in hindsight, it presaged your majesty and your sagacious contributions here over the years. So I always have that image, and now everybody here does too. So thank you for that, Ned. In the course that I teach, I talk about the influence of geography on the expansion of America's power and and the so-called American experience. And the same could be said for you, Ned, and using geography. The art department began in your tenure in a room in Barstow, moving to the 5th floor of Cluett, to the entire basement of what was then the auditorium in 1995, and then finally to the new art center in 2004. So, from a room in one building to an entire art center, capturing the influence and the impact that you've had in teaching the arts to young men and the importance of creativity. Ned, you've been awarded with many recognitions as a teacher and coach. You've won the Dunbar Award for Service in 1989, the recipient of the 1998 Squash Cord, named in honor of your 24 years as Trinity-Pawling varsity squash coach. The 2002 recipient of the Arditi Award for Faculty Service. In 2006, you were named the recipient of the Phillips Smith Endowed Humanities Chair. In 2018, the recipient of the Powers Award for Distinguished Education. In 2019, the Independent School Art Instructors Association Award. And also in 2019, the Founders League Award, the Archibald A. Smith Award for Sportsmanship for your years of coaching squash, soccer, and tennis. You've served as a dorm parent for 28 years, many of those years joined by Maria. You brought the musical performances of the Pauline concert series to the school in 1976. Maria, you have been there for most of those years and contributions, and just the power of your collective impact on this school, and most importantly on the lives of the boys whom you have taught and influenced over the years is just extraordinary. So if I could just get you both to reflect a little bit on your tenure at the school and maybe some of your favorite memories that pop up as you think back about sort of those years that I've just sort of too briefly summarized.
Ned, dear, would you like to start?
No, honey, I'll let you start.
Ned, go, please.
All right. It goes from, it's funny, sometimes it's the off-campus experiences that I've had with students over the years, the van rides, the interminable hours on Route 84 going out to Connecticut schools, the art trips to New York, the theater trips. And then I took, for a number of years, I took kids over March break to France, Spain, Italy more than once, Greece, England, and I took a soccer team to Brazil. And then recently went with kids to China in our exchange program. So a lot of great experiences come from traveling with kids to a different place. You get to see people unvarnished and without the school rules, hovering over them. They're natural and they're having fun and they're reacting to new places. So my great memories are there. One other, sort of bringing it back home, I often loved in the dorm, particularly Star, running a study hall and having a kid come to me, and they're mostly sophomores, I think, and say, "Can you help me with math? Like, you're the art teacher, do you know anything about this?" And yeah, bring it over here. And it was algebra 2 or geometry, and I could do that stuff. And I'm quickly looking at the examples in the first part of the chapter to kind of, okay, yeah, well, you think we do it this way? And the kid would think, oh my God, you could do math. Wow, you can do anything. I enjoyed just being of service on little things like that. So those are just some quick memories.
And I think, it's funny, you're saying some of your best memories were off campus. Mine, it was just being on campus, just being around, being there to listen to, to laugh with, and to help talk kids through their problems, and just being around, being present for them. I think that was the thing I really enjoyed the most. And then you said, the years in Star, those were good, fun, crazy, wild years. I loved them. Great chance to hone my baking skills and bake something and send them off, like get it out into the hallway for the kids. That was great. And, coaching, the Mighty Fourths, go Mighty Fourths, from, I don't know, 1986 until I don't even know how many years it was, but Mighty Fourths, and then JV squash and JV tennis and the town runs. I don't really think my team might have enjoyed them as much as I did, but that was great. Yeah, but it was just getting down and dirty with the kids. And I think that really came from, that was the whole ethos of the school, and it still is. You would never ask a boy to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. So, all right, we're going for a run. We're going for a run. We're going to do this together. And I think that was instilled in me from the day I arrived on campus. So it's an important message, I think.
And I'm remembering too, as you're talking about the Star years, that, you look out and you'd see kids jumping into the pond for a swim on a weekend, or after dinner on a cold October night, jumping in, daring each other to go in, and like, it's just kids being kids and having a lot of fun. The touch football and wiffle ball games on the quad, all those things. So great memories of being around kids just growing up.
And just also the beauty of the campus, and they are ingrained in my soul. The clink of the flagpole, the sunset or the western hillsides, and the train whistle. And it's amazing. Every time I come back on the weekends, from Vermont, first thing, within moments, I always laugh. I will hear the clink of the flagpole. I'll hear the train whistle go by, and you hear the peepers, the crickets, the sound that only is Trinity-Pawling. And my heart it just fills my heart every single time. It amazes me.
And we know that alums, you watch boys walking to meals and classes, and they have their heads down, particularly in the winter. They're looking at the tops of their feet, and 6 years later, 8 years, 20 years later, they come back as alums and go, "Oh my God, this place is beautiful. Look at the hills. I don't think I ever noticed this." And it's like, yeah, you didn't, because you were looking down when you walked with your books from place to place. Nobody looked up when the wind was blowing in your face, but there are some great vistas from this perch.
When alums share their memories about their experiences, very few will sort of talk about what it was like in their first days of being on campus. But yet one of the memories I have of both of you is that you both are masterful of engaging boys before they were engaged, as they were still sort of trying to figure out, okay, where is this building? What do I do? And talk a little bit about that, about sort of welcoming the new boys into the campus, whether it's in the beginning of the school year in September, who don't know where the field is, or the boy who shows up in January, who's new. But I mean, you both excelled in that, in a way that modeled that mentorship for other colleagues.
I think for me, I always just put myself in that boy's shoes, just remembering, just empathizing with how uncomfortable, how painful, how scared he must have felt, and just, what can I do to make his initial moments, days, weeks friendly, comforting at home. And it's like, hey, what's going on? But just putting yourself right, one-on-one with the boy at his level and bringing him along.
Yeah, and you don't say to someone who asks where the health center or the infirmary is, "Oh, it's over there." You say, "Let me show you. I'll walk you down there, and I'll walk you up the steps, and I'll walk you into the nurse, and I'll do the handoff." It's not, "Oh, it's over there. You go find your way." Or the kid who comes out with a tray, or comes into an open dining room at a cafeteria style meal, and is kind of looking around. You go, "Hey, why don't you sit over here?" Or wait, this kid's in your dorm, so join your proctor. And you just get them connected quickly. It certainly makes them feel a little more comfortable, I hope. So I remember a time when I was in prep school, I went to an evening event and I was wearing light colored khakis. And the dress code for an evening event was always dark pants. And I'm walking down, I'm a freshman, I'm walking into this big auditorium, and a teacher comes up to me. It was a young teacher. Hey, you can't be in here, get out of here. I was like, I was just stunned. And I wanted, I forget what the program was, I wanted to be a part of it. And I was turned away, just like that. And I thought, wow, I just felt awful. And I've never wanted another kid to feel like that. If a kid walks in, he's forgotten his tie, like, here, you want to wear my tie for your next class. Get away. Anyway, that's
great examples. Thank you. So, we're very fortunate this year to have the entire year to celebrate both of your contributions and to continue to benefit from your wisdom and your engagement with the school community. And we've created a new sort of a new role this year, artists, plural, in residence. And I want to talk a little bit about sort of what that means from the school's perspective, and then ask you both to sort of comment on how you sort of plan to sort of engage in this opportunity this year. But from the school's perspective, what a tremendous opportunity to be able to continue to learn from your contributions, but to have you practice your craft and your crafts here, not exclusively, but to watch the creative process and to be part of the energy of the creative process of Ned, of your painting, Maria, of your writing, both of you collectively, how you're masterfully expressing feelings, thoughts, and observations, and each in your own way, and to do that here in a way that models that creativity, that expression for us all. And it's a rich opportunity for any school to be able to do that. Now, yes, every teacher does that. But to do that, just focus on your art and your craft in ways that teaches the community, the school as a whole, those who are on campus, those who are not on campus, but you're definitely, you're enriching the canvas of this entire community. That's why I'm so excited about this year, in addition to the obvious excitement that comes with having a whole year to continue to work with you both. But talk a little bit about how you might plan to, fill this year between being here and then being up in Vermont and so forth.
I was here last weekend. I purposely stayed away for the first month to let the school settle in and the new art teachers get their footing. They don't need me hanging over them and saying, oh, by the way, the pencil should go here. We usually keep the paper over there. And I don't need to do that with professionals. We've got good teachers in the arts. I don't need to hover. So I'd been away really a month, and I was back last weekend, whatever it was for. And, but I had my easel out, and I was painting behind Barstow on Saturday morning. The boys were going back and forth to classes. The day students were walking by, going down to their cars. They saw me at my easel. The faculty children came running around and kind of hovered and watched, and a couple of them went in and got their coloring books and sketchbooks and sat down next to me. And a couple of kids stood and probably watched me for half an hour painting away. And I said, well, why aren't you putting that in? Or you left that out. And I said, I'm not gonna put that fire hydrant right there in the middle of the painting or something. So it was fun to show and share my craft without doing an official lesson. And I hope to be doing that and be visible doing that in the warmer months. I'm not sure that's possible in the winter, though I certainly will make myself available in the pottery room if people want to learn, and I can help them and either create a Christmas gift for somebody in the family or to learn a skill that they could continue with in years ahead. We'll see. It'll be an organic, sort of fluid situation.
I said a few minutes ago, I think the thing, I loved the most was counseling, being around, listening to boys and helping them and so forth. And it makes sense. Writing is a direct extension of listening. If you listen, you have to ask good questions and listen carefully to be able to convert them into meaningful articles. So that's one thought. And the other thing, I've just so enjoyed, the number, I don't know, the past 6 or 7 Januaries in particular, I've tended to station myself down in Pauling because that's when I do a lot of writing for the school spring alumni magazine. So it's just so nice, get up, throw my laptop over my back, over my shoulder, and, head over to the Gardner Library and hunker right back down at one of the back tables, crank open the laptop and pull out my yellow notepads filled with scribbled notes and just dig into an article and just lose myself in it in a very comfortable space in the library, which has always been really important to me. And I think it's just kind of cool for me to be there with a pleasant buzz of, kids and faculty wandering around through the library while I'm practicing the art, the craft of writing. And, it's hard work. It's a struggle, but I just get a lot of energy. I really get a lot of energy from doing that in the library itself with kids around, and they'll stop in. What are you doing? And that's a good way to meet kids too. So, whether it's an article for TP itself or a magazine up in Vermont, I just like, as I said, I get energy from writing in a public space like that.
And, I will also underscore that mentorship is an art. And Maria, you talked about counseling boys, and you both have excelled at that. But another reason I'm excited is that, that Artist-in-Residence also comes with an opportunity to practice the art of mentorship, whether it's to younger faculty, those just beginning their time here, headmasters who always need a little bit of mentorship from time to time, like every day, and students. And so, that's another great benefit of this Artist-in-Residence year that we're embarking on. Ned, talk a little bit about the Live for Art Gallery. I know you've got a big weekend coming up, and
well, yeah, I guess I was like most things in my life, Maria gets me near the edge and then gives me a good push. She saw this space downtown in the village last year. It's between McKinney and Doyle Bakery and the bookstore, and it was empty, and it's got beautiful light coming in. She says, you ought to rent it. I go, what are you talking about? It's a beautiful gallery. And we took the plunge. We were going to open it in like March or April, but of course with COVID, nothing was allowed to be open. So we opened it in June, and it's giving me an opportunity to have an art presence in Pauling, not only of my work, but works of other artists. I did rent it out to a consortium of 12 artists during the month of September. And so had their work up. I'm launching a show tomorrow that will be my landscapes of a pastel artist and landscapes of an oil painter, all in the southern Vermont area. And so it'll be a chance for people to see how 3 different mediums and 3 different artists interpret the landscape. And there's one barn that each of the 3 of us have painted. And when you go to the exhibit, you can see each of us painted it in a different way or a different angle or a different approach. And it'll be, I think, it'll be fun. And it's also a space that can become a teaching space if I want to offer lessons to people in the area, to people in the Pauling area, either for sketching or watercolor or oil paints. It could become a teaching spot too. I don't know where it's going to go. But Live for Art, that's the 4, Live for Art Gallery in Pauling.
Good. Well, looking forward to it this weekend.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, can I jump in and say one more thing? Something Ned said made me think of it. You know, Ned just said, I'm not really sure where this is going. And Ned's a guy, he likes to schedule. He kind of likes to know what's happening. You know, A leads to B leads to C. But, you know, getting comfortable with not knowing is important. And TP, I've said this to so many people. I'm just so indebted to the school. It's always pushed me to expand my comfort zone. No matter what I do. So it really, and Bill, I know you believe that as well, but there's a quote from Anais Nin saying, life expands or contracts in direct proportion to your courage. And Trinity-Pawling was really good about giving me the courage to push beyond and to try new things, which is, again, I think I tried to do that with the boys as well, and hopefully some faculty. But
I'm going to come back to just that very quote here in a moment. You know, I had something happen. I imagine this has happened to everybody, people who use Google Calendar or any type of calendaring software. But, you know, I've been having sort of phantoms pop up on my calendar. These are calendar entries that I put on my calendar pre-COVID, that sort of pop up and say, oh, you've got the Pauline concert series this, you know, weekend coming up, and you got 4 people staying at Gamage House, and you know, I saw that, oh my God, we haven't planned for that, and then realized. But I mean, so this has been tough, not, you know, having things ready to go this year, and then of course, you know, we're all dealing with having to shift and maneuver and adjust, but I guess, Ned, talk a little bit about the Pauline concert series, your vision for it originally, the impact that it's had from your perspective on the community, on the school, and then we'll transition in the conversation to where we think we're going to be moving forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. This past week was Catherine Russell's birthday. She's a jazz singer, and we were going to have her on campus last March. And when early March things started to break, we had to make a decision to cancel a concert that we had booked a year and a half in advance with a backup band and a sound system. And I heard her in a recording today, driving in the car. I heard her singing today, and I just wistfully thought, oh my God, you know, she was going to be on our stage, and she still might, because we gave her a fraction of her artist fee when we canceled the concert. But I'm hopeful that the artists that were contracted and had to be canceled, it'll be a postponement for another time, and another a group from a Texas guitar quartet was excited to come up and perform, and you know, that's not going to happen. And we have John Pizzarelli coming up, scheduled for the coming spring. And Bill, you know his work. I was listening to him. I've seen him in person many times. I would love to have him on our stage and to have a glass of wine with him afterwards. But you know, we don't know right now. And so you know, the Pauline concert series in the school has been a reason why the Pauline concert series has thrived, because the series has no overhead. The series has used the chapel and the auditorium, or now art center, beautiful spaces for presenting music. And we've been doing that for 47 years, I think. And it's presenting organizations have a tough time making ends meet, but most of those places have spaces that need a new roof or a furnace or something that's not working. And here the school is donating beautiful spaces, and all of our fundraising goes directly to artist fees. So we're hopeful to keep that series going as a great presence in the Eastern Dutchess area. And people come from Westchester County, people come from Boston for our concerts. They've come from all around. With the social media, someone will say, I said, you know, why you came from Rochester for this concert? He said, yeah, the other venue was going to be on Long Island. You guys were closer. Like, okay. So if people are following groups and groups are coming to Pauling, we see people drive a good distance for a concert here. So I'm hopeful that we'll be up and running either this spring or by the following fall of 2021. We'll see how it goes.
Right. Maria, you arrived on campus in the summer of 1986, right out of college, teaching French. But to your point, it's been a trajectory and a career of just, expanding concentric circles of expanding horizons, expanding your impression on this campus, the contributions, teaching English, coaching, as you said, the soccer, the squash and the tennis. We spent many springs coaching up on those tennis courts, and many cold March and April days of coaching tennis up there. But then you got involved and led the school in the farming initiative, really, getting us going in that important area of sustainability, and teaching the boys what that means and the influence that has and can have on their lives outside of just farming. And now the art of storytelling and weaving your creative strengths into these marvelous magazine articles, certainly for the Trinity-Pawling magazine, but also the periodicals that you write for in Vermont. And then beginning last year, this new Spark series of storytelling and bringing wonderful stories to campus, and that's a vision that I certainly want to continue to have the school endorse, because it's yet another way of expressing creativity and broadening the role of creativity on campus. So talk a little bit about expanding horizons, but also about the Spark series too.
I guess I'll start with the last first. So the Spark series, I had a pretty good model, a working model to base our concept on, Ned's concert series. But for the past couple of years, a woman in town named Dorian Winslow, she's a real mover and shaker and a visionary. She and I have been talking about this series. There's a lot of people, basically, people are hungry to learn. People are hungry to learn, and you want to go to these presentations and then walk away like, wow, that's so cool. I never would have known that if I hadn't gone to it. And then they just evolve into ongoing conversations. So we said, let's create a series where we invite different speakers and presentations to come that will spark conversations. What do we say? Interesting things when curious minds connect, or something like that. So we were sketching out a whole series of events. We started this officially last January. Kent Burnham also is involved in this as well. Kent Burnham, director of Trinity-Pawling Theater. So we had our first presentation last March 1st. It turned out to be our first and our last at that point. It was John Tieford, our own member of Trinity-Pawling's English teacher, and he spoke about his work as an adventure filmmaker. And that was amazing. It packed, we thought, well, if we got 15 or 20 people there, that'd be great. We packed the Gardner Theater, and it was just a wonderful program. We had an environmentalist scheduled for April, and we had another symposium on healthy brains. That was going to be in early June. So some of those things they're on hold until we're allowed to get back into the theater and do that. But it's just I really, really wanted Trinity-Pawling to be seen as a center for not just the Pawling, the TP community, but for the whole community, and say, come to our campus. We are a center of lifelong learning. And so that's still going to be in the works as we're going. So working with Dorian and Kent, and looking for interesting speakers who can come and spark conversations and thoughts and an intellectual engagement. And it's a really wide open roster. So if any of you guys out there listening have some suggestions, just shoot me a note and let me know. But again, I'm very appreciative that Trinity-Pawling said, sure, use our theater. This is a wonderful program. It only enhances, it's a mutual win-win.
And we're looking forward to having people back in the theater, people back in the chapel, certainly when we can and it's safe to do so.
Yep. Going back quickly to the farming. So I guess mid 2000s, I've always loved food and cooking, but I realized about mid 2000s, I said, this is great. I don't know how to grow anything. That's kind of lame. So what do? I start reading about it because I'm an English teacher and you read. And I was like, get out of your chair and do something. So right about that time, Josh Frost, who was Trinity-Pawling valedictorian class of 2004, he had just graduated from Hamilton College. He graduated there in 2008 and came back to resume work at his family farm. And I met him in early September and I said, do you ever need volunteers maybe? I kind of all shy, like, do you mind? And he's like, yeah, for sure. So it was how many years ago? 2008, this past Sunday, it was a day that changed my life. And Taylor Weber was part of that day. And so I brought a van load of kids over to Cascade Farm in Patterson, New York. And we broke down a tomato field and hauled around some pumpkins. And my life has really never been the same. And I texted that to Josh and to Taylor T. Webbs on Sunday. And we had a great exchange going down memory lane.
Was that clean? Was that clean work, Maria?
Oh, that was a dirty, filthy mess and still am. But that was just an amazing time. And it was just so powerful. And then this crazy weaving of lives between Josh Frost and me, and I would be working on his farm and I'd bring kids there in the summer to help him harvest. Then eventually our lives just kept crisscrossing and I had taught him as a student. He was an advisee. And then he became my teacher. Every time I went to the farm, I was his student. I said, tell me, I knew nothing. And he was a very patient, as you guys know him, he's a very patient and wonderful teacher. But he and Ashley, we just kept going from there.
Taught you how to drive?
I learned how to drive a tractor and that was it. But then Josh came back to teach at TP and then we built the Gamage's Gardens, we built the greenhouse. And again, with the work of students in the area, Alex Ross and T. Webbs and a lot of other kids and some faculty. Todd Hoffman was out there schlepping loads of soil and that was awesome. But so we built it into a cool program and collaborated together. And then Josh has taken it over and taken it to incredible heights. So I'm just very proud of him. And we keep in touch on this all the time. And it gives me great joy every weekend to wander through the gardens or up in the upper field and see what he's up to now. So, but again, Trinity-Pawling teaches you how to take a challenge and run with it. So that's
I could ask you many more questions. I'm going to save my questions for a different time when we can gather. But I know there are a lot of questions that have come through on the chat. So JP, I'll turn it over from you, and then I'll maybe have a final question at the end.
Sure. Yeah, there's some great questions that came in from the registration, but also just comments through the Q&A and also through the chat. So. For those of you on this call, please, keep those questions coming in, comments, and we'll try to get to all of it. And just so you know, Ned, I posted out your Instagram, Ned Reade Artist, to this group because one of the questions from Bill Dodd was, can we see art online for the West Coast alumni? And so I thought your Instagram page would be good, but then I didn't even realize you had your own .com. So nedreade.com is another outlet for all of you who want to follow the work of Ned. So that's on the chat as well. And then I'm not going to do Maria's, because that's different, but Trinity-Pawling Farm has also just gone live a couple days ago. So, all right. This is a question from, let's just start with T. Webbs, because he was just mentioned. But so who were your favorite high school teachers and in college? Kind of what made them so unique to you or made them important in your life? And also, what was your favorite class?
Well, I'll start it. There was an art. When I was in prep school at Deerfield, there had not been any art. In my junior year, they brought in an older fellow. He's sort of a Santa Claus looking figure with a big beard. And the classroom was a big open space, almost like a supermarket. It was the basement space. And some kids were working on 8mm video. Some kids were working in woodworking because there were some still saws and things going on. And other people were painting over here, and somebody else was doing something else. And he was teaching an art history class on the side. And you went in there and you didn't know whether you're going to get his attention or not. It was chaos. And so many classes were so structured and in those days in the late 60s and 70s that just anything goes. And I just loved, and I loved the aha moments when you do something and it worked. So he wrote my recommendation for college, and I kept in touch with him for a long time until he died. But Dan Hodomarski was a mentor for me and for Steve Hannock, who was here last fall for a reunion. See, and I had the same spark from this one guy.
I think I had my junior year English teacher. She was great. She was a British woman, and she was, again, I went to a public high school in central New York, so we didn't have anywhere near the close relationships that we have at Trinity-Pawling. But this woman really, she was different. She was more like a boarding school teacher. She really extended herself to her students, and we really developed a really long-term friendship. And yeah, she took a personal interest in me, and you know, I responded tremendously, and she was a wonderful mentor.
Great. From classmate of mine, JP Gagan, what is your funniest memory as a dorm parent? So you have a lot of characters that came through as sophomores, including my classmate. So what would you say to that?
Ned, I got to get this one fast. Just at JP, I'm not even sure if it was your year or not, but it was I think, Ned, you were on sabbatical in 94. So it was the night before. It was the night before Parents' Weekend, so we're out doing super clean in the door, and in Star 2, and going crazy, getting everything all cleaned up. And I must have gone in the apartment, I don't know, get a pan of brownies out or something, and I came out, and they had erupted into a shaving cream war or something. So we're like, and I thought, just relax. They're as stressed as I am. Just let it go. And then they just cleaned it up, and we just resumed the evening. But I think when I walked through that door, they must have been like, oh no. But I was like, all right, we're done. Let's get this cleaned up. And they did. So I don't know.
Ned, before you answer that, Maria, last night, Dave Karate, the same question was asked, the same answer.
Oh, come on. You're kidding me.
Shaving cream was exactly.
That
Ned,
is
Ned, you asked him that.
Yeah, well, what was the activity that would send you over the edge?
Oh my God, that's funny. Dave, if you were on there, we got to check our dates to see.
Yeah, he's on there.
Ned, what about you?
I remember he's a sort of I don't know what it says about us. As dorm parents, you get knocks at the door. I'm locked out of my room. Can I get some ice? Can I get this? Can you take me get some pizza? All kinds of stuff, and at all hours of the day. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and Maria and I were in the apartment, and there's a knock on the door, and I thought, they can watch the Giants game, but no, we're not going to bring them food or soda. Knock, knock, knock again. No, this is Sunday afternoon. They can deal with it. There's somebody else that can deal with it. It turns out, you remember who this was, Maria? Peter Hoppel.
Yes, I do. Thanks,
Peter
Ned.
Hoppel had jumped over the fence behind the Karate's house, the Anderson house, and caught his leg on the fence and landed on his arm and broke his arm.
His elbow. Yep.
And he was knocking on our door with a broken arm, and we're sitting there
I wish you hadn't really kind of brought that up publicly.
Yes, but there's a memory that comes back, and I'll tell you, you never didn't answer a knock after that.
Right,
and I think if I were to give a lesson to any dorm parent, and I remember another time, Maria, before you were in the dorm with me, and a boy had fainted in the shower. Just one of those things where you stood up suddenly, and glass something broke. It was all over the place, and you got to deal with it, and you got to deal with it right then. And a kid who gets up in the middle of the night and is sick, you're going to be cleaning bed linens at 3 a.m. because it's got to be done, because you're the parent. You can't say, oh yeah, well, we'll let the dean of students do that tomorrow. You got to deal with it right then. So it's that you really feel like you're needed, and you are the parent when those boys are knocking at your door. You can't say, forget it.
Right.
For sure. It's not my duty night.
Thank you, Dave. I thought of one other thing. I loved, teaching kids to cook. Any kid who expressed an interest in cook, I'd say, come on down. Tom McCoy taught him how to make risotto. Of course, I'd let him do the stirring for 45 minutes. But one other time, this boy, he said, Mrs. Reade, I love to bake. I really like to bake cookies. I said, great. Can I bake cookies? Sure. I said, I'll bring the stuff back from the weekend. Okay. He comes down then Sunday night, knocks on the door. All right, I've got everything I need. I just need a couple things. I just need butter, flour, sugar, eggs, and vanilla. I said, so you have a bag of chocolate chips? He's like, yeah, I have everything I need. Like, all right. So anyway, I got him started, and I went off to squash practice or whatever the thing was. And I came back later after the game or the practice, and he had gone through all our drawers and cupboards and found like the most beautiful piece of wedding china that I didn't even know we had. And he had piled this array of beautiful warm chocolate chip cookies, and it was just so sweet. But that's just kind of a sweet and trusting story. They were good cookies too.
Well, as we're on this dorm part, Manny De La Cruz, Reade's super cool dorm parents, and that's why he returned to Star Hall as a senior proctor.
Manny.
Manny.
And also,
I remember.
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
I remember Manny going to bed, putting him to bed as a sophomore, and he had his football helmet on.
The very first night.
Yep. He was Manny, you were a small kid then and had no business playing football, but you were really into it, and there you were with that football helmet on. Oh my God.
And shout out to you, Maria. A comment from Manny as well. Most influential teacher in his life. So,
thank you, Manny.
Okay, so Pat Marks, what's the secret to happiness? Short but sweet question.
As a married couple, giving each other space to do what you love. Giving each other the space to do what each person loves and understanding that. A chance to letting each other grow and supporting each other. Dear.
Yeah. No, and we are in two different homes right now, whether you know it or not. I mean, I had an exhibit to put up today, which I did with help from TP students. And Maria, what was your day? You're up in Vermont?
Yep, farming. A little bit of writing in the morning, and then farming, and then back down here. And more writing after all this ends.
Yep.
All right. What is the biggest change you've seen during your extensive time at Trinity-Pawling? And this was from Brad, I believe it's Lois.
Lois.
From class of 14. Biggest change you've seen?
Well, I've said this before, but I think the students today are very proud of the school that they go to. And it wasn't always so. And I guess I'm talking about way back to the late 70s, when kids came here with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, or they weren't very grateful. But I think I've seen kids take a great deal more pride in the pride is our logo and all that kind of stuff, but wearing the gear and the blue and gold, and we do a lot to promote the culture and the community. And I think the kids, they go out of here, they're singing the praise of the school, and that's been very gratifying, because we worked awfully hard, built a lot of buildings and hired a lot of faculty, but to see the pride the kids take in their own institution has been great.
It's just the expansion of the campus and the growth of the facilities and the programs that go with them. I think it's just amazing the opportunities that the expanded opportunities that all the Trinity-Pawling students have is pretty staggering.
And just a follow up, it's just a follow up for me, but what are you happy that hasn't changed, Ned? Just especially, from 1975, what's some idea, moment that you're just so happy that it still exists today?
Well, this COVID fall is a little bit different, but the fact that the chapel has remained central to the core values of the school, the fact the school meets there, and there's a history there, there are plaques everywhere, and there are beautiful, beautiful windows to gaze at, and and Bill Taylor's hired. Bill's the son of an Episcopal minister, and that is the fact that that's remained such a vital part of the school and it was founded by an Episcopal increase, though, we don't have, participants don't outnumber any group on the campus, but it's that foundation in the chapel is I'm so proud of.
I would agree. There is nothing more powerful than the feeling of sitting there communally, shoulder to shoulder, packed in the pews. We're all around these blue blazers. And many times in the early years in the 80s, I was the only woman in the building, and I just loved that feeling of just this solidarity, this strength and brotherhood.
Yeah, we've been there for weddings and baptisms and funerals, and for 9/11 and major events. But it's always, the school has always come together and drawn strength from each other in that space.
All right, I'm going to see if we can fly through some of these because there's some good ones, but just some quick comments, but also questions. Brandon Burgess, best dorm parents, advisors of my TP life. Question from Ben Verdasi. We know you guys love Cat Rocks, but what are some of your other favorite places in New York and Vermont to explore the mountains?
Pauling Nature Preserve is amazing, right up there near Quaker Lake.
Our
Yeah.
extra 100 acres that Ben wasn't a part of. I don't think we had it then. The acres beyond our own campus is spectacular.
Yep. All right. How about Andy Rickert? Would love to know about the beginnings of this beautiful marriage and partnership. Who courted whom? Come on.
Well, you go back, Bill, to what you said earlier about Ned was very welcoming and brought people into the fold. I was a brand new teacher. I'd been on campus for about maybe 2 days or a week or something, and we're walking up from sit-down dinner on a Monday, and he just kind of taps my arm and he says, "Would you like to come to senior faculty coffee?" And I'm like, I had no intention to. I'm like, sure, I'd love to, and that was one of the first things. Then we had our first date of taking down the soccer nets in a driving November rain, and I guess that sort of went along with my ethos. So that was nice. So I don't know that, and just we had that spontaneous trip to New York City in the spring of my first year when a tennis match got canceled, and we went to see an art show and spent the afternoon down in, where were we, Ned?
Yeah, Gramercy Park area or something, or Soho.
And it was great. We just had a wonderful day, and I do remember coming back that I'd been gone all day, and all the young faculty guys were like, "Where have you been?" I was like, immediately I said, I was over at the mall. Just immediately cover yourself, keep it on the DL. So it just kind of went on from there. Yep.
Mrs. Reade, can I ask that question from JJ?
Sure.
Is some of the nickname that some of the alums might know you by?
That would be Boots.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was a derivation of my last name, but Maria Buteau Reade, and it was Boots, and it was great. And it's just such an era, anywhere. I guess JP, it kind of started fading out maybe around just shortly after your years, but it just makes my heart just pitter patter. But that's what
All right. Eric Olstein has a question for each of you. Maria, as the former dean of faculty, what would your pitch to a college graduate to teach at TP versus another school and have a career in teaching? What would your pitch be?
I think you come to a school like Trinity-Pawling, you will have so many opportunities to learn. And so I would say seize any opportunity you can to learn. And I would also say just 3 words, it's really important. It's just be of use. Find ways to be of use. Say, how can I help? What do you need? And then that will just open so many doors. And you can never go wrong saying, how can I help? How can I be of use?
Ned, after 45 years of teaching at Trinity-Pawling, what is unique about this education, especially in our high-paced, global, technologically driven world?
Well, I think, you've got faculty who are professionals in their respective disciplines. You've got the Keels who live on a boat, a naval vessel, doing research out of Woods Hole. You've got Kent Burnham, a professional actor, teaching acting and public speaking here. You've got Chris Kelsey as a professional jazz saxophonist teaching our kids. So in so many areas, you know, a hockey coach has played professionally, you know. So, you know, our teachers, it's just been great because they are professional in their respective fields. And I think that's, it's a credit to the school that they hire people like this that might not have an education degree and might not have had a lot of months in the classroom, and then maybe some, you know, they don't know all the jargon, but they know their field.
And Bill, before I hand it back to you, just a couple of more from Bill Dodd, 77. Great to see you, Mr. Reade.
Billy Dude.
From Denise Palmer, so grateful for these two and all that they've done for my boys. It takes a village. So glad that you were a part of it. Bobby Waglin, congrats to the Reades. Amazing tenure, tremendous impact on my life. #1 advisor.
Bobby, yep. It makes my heart just so just filled with pride to see you as a trustee, because I remember talking to you when I met you in 7th grade. I thought, this kid is special. This kid is bound to be a trustee. And lo and behold, and I think, Bobby, I know wherever you are, I know you're nodding your head remembering that conversation.
2 more. Just a hello from Gunho Ken Jung.
Ken Jung.
Yep.
And then the last one that actually was kind of all 4 of us, Manny De La Cruz, wanted 1 more. And just that the 4 of us, I was obviously at Trinity-Pawling with him. And this is sort of a throwback to the 90s, actually, right now. But he became a prefect because of all of us. So thank you, Manny, for that.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Bill.
Manny, it's good to hear from you. And I've fond memories of all those years back in that era. And this is really not a question. I won't end with a question, but more of a comment. And Ned, I think I've shared this with you. You know, I used to love drawing as a kid, and I loved art when I had it in school until I was in 7th grade. And I had an art teacher who, you know, gave me a bad grade, and what I thought was a bad grade, didn't sort of help me understand what that meant. And I developed a whole fixed mindset about myself and creativity. I said, well, I'm no good in art. I'm not creative. And it wasn't until years later, and I was reading the book, A Different Mind by Daniel Pink, and where he talks about the different ways that creativity is expressed. And I came to this realization, and this is just a few years ago, that, you know, I am kind of creative in different ways. But I had nobody to sort of guide me in that discovery. And, you know, both of you have done that for the boys here and also for the adults here, to sort of guide people through their own creative self-expression and discoveries. And what a gift that is. And what a gift that you will continue to share in this year. And I know beyond that, but what a legacy. And, you know, just congratulations to you both, because that, you know, there's nothing more enriching, in my opinion, than people's discovery of their creative expression. And in most cases, it needs guidance and nurturing and people to bring that out of others. And you both have done that and excelled, and we're a stronger school because of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
You've always been very generous in your words and supporting all of us. Thanks.
Oh, JP, you're muted.
Zoom 101. Before we sign off, what's on your bucket list besides being artists in residence? Bucket list.
Well, you know, you retire and you plan on doing some traveling, and that just isn't possible right now. So at some point, there hopefully we'll take some trips to places that we plan to go back to or explore.
I just love remaining immersed in the Pauling community. I love my back and forth life, you know, weeks, a lot of the weeks in Vermont, and then spending weekends down in Pauling. It's just such a fantastic place with, you know, I'm on the board of the Pauling Farmers Market and the Spark and other things. So it's really great just to have my on-campus family and then the extended family beyond in Pauling, and just this crazy life of juggling about 5 jobs that don't pay, but it's great.
Well, and we are, all of us on this call and in the Trinity-Pawling community, the Pauling community, we're just happy that you're still here and still around, and hopefully there will be an apartment somewhere in your future. So cups of coffee at McKinney & Doyle will go on forever. So again, on behalf of Trinity-Pawling, the alums, the faculty, everyone that's touched your lives, congratulations. It's been an incredible ride, and we look forward to continuing that journey with you. And to all on the call and anybody who listens to this tomorrow, we do have a couple more events for Alumni Weekend. And as Bill said before, we look forward to seeing you in 365 days, celebrating the 5s, the 6s,
the ones and the zeros.
So it should be a great celebration for all of us. And again, thank you and have a great night.
All right. Thank you, JP.
Everybody, be well.